What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to today's episode of Solutions. So, first of all, I pray that y'all are having a blessed day. Today, we'll be discussing the importance of having a long-term mentality when it comes to the individuals that want to be entrepreneurs. So, with that said, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and enjoy the video. So, this video is really curated towards the younger population that share that, they want to be entrepreneurs, and something that's been a very prevalent concept even when I was in high school a few years back. How is this gonna help me, or like especially calculus or geometry, which was hitting, I ain't gonna lie. I was an architectural engineering major, so it wasn't a valid argument, but for most people, how would you use what it is that you're learning in school in real life? So some of you all may be like, well, what does that have to do with entrepreneurship? Honestly, from what I've seen, there are really two main paths as far as what's necessary for you to be successful. That typically, it's a general concept, but it typically applies to, from what I've seen, most people fall under one of two categories. The first is you just figuring it out, what most people call bootstrapping. The term bootstrapping has been used by people with more resources that wanted people with less resources to complain less, but in this instance, let's say it's representing all of the entrepreneurs that want to start their company or want to go out and acquire their first company. Hello. What's going on, y'all? It's Cam from Solutions. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to all the Black-owned businesses out there. Shout out to all the HBCUs out there. With that said, I hope y'all enjoy the video and that y'all have a blessed day. I'm bro. Your other option is to go to school and pick an industry that you want to specialize in, and make sure that you're networking intentionally and that you're developing your knowledge base. You really wouldn't gain that much experience unless you're doing an internship, which honestly I strongly encourage you to do, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or not. Internships make a huge difference as far as how much progression that you're making. I would even say if you really want to be an entrepreneur, you could go as far as getting an MBA, which I believe would be lucrative. Regardless of which category you belong to, having a long-term mentality is absolutely key. I will make sure to tie all of the concepts in together at the end. So first, I'm going to start with figuring it out. When it comes to figuring it out, you most likely have parents that have no real connections as far as being business people. They most likely won't understand what it is that you're trying to do if you say you want to be an entrepreneur, especially if you're trying to figure out which business you're trying to start or acquire. In the process, they truly will not believe in you, which you being forced to live with them because of your financial situation makes it that much harder for you to do. In addition to that, time passes much quicker than we think it does, especially after you come out of high school. It's going to seem like you don't know what you're doing. Honestly, it's going to become discouraging unless you're making progress, when business can be a 0 to 100 type of thing. But for most people, there's a J curve. So it's a lot of getting your fundamentals. It's a lot of networking. It's a lot of making sure that you're putting the right people in place to take your business to the next level, or take y'all business if you going into it with partners. But you have to be mentally strong. You have to have a long-term mentality. You have to think with the end in mind, and you have to create, to the best of your ability, a step-by-step process on how to bring it into fruition. And a lot of the people you see on social media, they're at Z, but they don't talk about what it took for them to go from A to Z, or if Z is even what it really appears to be. A lot of people may be over-leveraging themselves just to put on the front for social media. So it's important on that note as well to make sure that you're living below your means as long as possible, until you're at a stage where your business is producing and is lucrative. In addition to that, you'll most likely be forced to either get a job or do a side hustle just to maintain your expenses. Even if you live with your parents, my parents didn't have a problem with me staying with them rent-free, but if your parents are like some of my friends and they, like I shared, don't have that long-term mentality and don't understand your vision, then you may have to pay them rent. You may have to put gas in your car. You may have to go to networking events. You will have bills to keep up while you're trying to figure it out. In addition to that, you most likely have no experience or knowledge base. I know that here in Illinois, like the Rich Township area, they have specialized programs, so you can basically have a major in high school, but Most high schools don't offer that sort of support. And once you defeat all of that, at the end of the line, what we call the championship, now you have to face the challenges of a startup. Being a business owner is a perpetual fight. Even if you're the type of business owner that has already optimized your brand and has put people and systems in place where it's working on its own, you still have to come up with marketing strategies. You still have to figure out how to outpace. You still have to figure out how to outpace inflation, because that's the name of the game as a business owner. What you retain honestly isn't profit. What you retain is your salary until you have replaced yourself. Once you've replaced yourself and your business is running like a well-oiled machine, then you'll deal with everything that comes along with you having a well-oiled machine. You know, the car need new tires, it need oil, it need gas, and you can't just put any gas in it. You got to put a lot of money back into that business. You have to put resources, not just capital alone. You have to network. Your business, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. On top of you having to create income and then learn how taxes work and then create tax strategies based on what your goal is, and then create tax strategies on what your goal is, you'll be forced to, as I shared, hire people. Once you hire people, you're gonna realize that they don't have the same drive and passion for your company that you do, because they're just not gonna perform the same way you did when you were taking over those responsibilities. Even then, you're gonna have to learn how to navigate all of the general business obstacles like lawsuits, problematic clients, employee turnover, maybe law changes where if you're in a larger business industry, the larger companies are trying to corner a market to force you out legally. Like in real estate, larger investors, they may have a certain area rezoned, and now you have no choice but to either convert the type of business that you have or sell your company. So the alternative to that is you going to school in an industry that you want to specialize in, that you would like to improve your knowledge base in, and or going to get certifications or going to get a job with the intent to build your career through that job, and then eventually branch off and start your own business after you learn the inner workings of the type of business that you're going into. What this will do is it'll allow for you to have easier access to networking opportunities, which honestly is truly key as far as cutting your time in half, because you really could figure out how to bootstrap, figure it out on your own, but you having someone in your corner like mentors that you're more likely to come across when you're putting yourself in position to work with these types of individuals or learn from these individuals, and then setting up a professor, the time that you spent figuring it out and learning with your own money, because when you make mistakes in business, it can become expensive. You're learning directly from someone who has already gone down the path that you're walking. So they can just give you the blueprint and tell you how to avoid the potholes. They can tell you what streets to take. Constructive criticism saves time. In addition to that, your business knowledge will be much stronger. So not only would you be more comfortable going into business, but you would have a better idea of what it is that you need to do going into it. When I was talking about starting with the end in mind and creating a step-by-step process to the best of your ability, the better your business knowledge and the better your constructive criticism, that whoever's speaking into your ear, the more likely you are to succeed, the more likely you are to entirely avoid pitfalls that the individuals that are trying to figure it out on their own had to go through. On top of that, this path is much easier for your parents to understand. God blessed me with understanding parents. My father's even entrepreneurial minded, but for the most part, chances are your parents won't understand this path. So you going to school for it would make them more comfortable. They feel like, oh, at least you should have a certification or do this. That would definitely put a smile on their face. When I got my diploma, I handed it to my mom, and she's like, what you do that for? I'm like, because I did this for you, but I digress. One thing that I gotta wait till I'm done with. One thing that I can say is that in my life, God has been intentional. So even in me not really wanting to go to college or really just going to college to play basketball, I learned the networking skills that were necessary for me to be where I am today. The cherry on the top for me, honestly, if you go as far as like an MBA, this would essentially make it easier for you to raise capital for whatever type of business that you're going into. If it's, say, a startup that you really believe can go to 8-9 figures, something that you would have to bring in outside investors for, this would improve your chances of you being confident in your pitch. Like, you need to set up a slide deck for your type of business. It would make you more punctual. People love punctuality in businesses. That's something that we're lacking in Black-owned businesses, is the punctuality and the professionalism aspect. So you going through this, you're going to notice that you're going to have sort of a language change. it's a difference between code switching and professionalism. There's definitely a clear line. It's not a gray area, anything. You want to be professional when you're approaching these individuals that are, say, angel investors or even partners, because how you present yourself is how they're going to treat you. If you come to them and you say you got locks, but your hair not done, or even worse, the first time they see you got a ski mask on, your chances of going to be that entrepreneur that you say you want to be is that much less likely, because your first impressions make a world of a difference. You may come across somebody that's high caliber on the street that doesn't understand you and where you come from, but you don't see anything wrong with it. Maybe how you're pronouncing yourself, maybe what you're wearing, maybe your scent. They don't know that you don't have an in-house washer and dryer in your mom's apartment. They don't know that. So doing your best to make sure that you're punctual, you're professional, and you crush the first impression will set a world of a difference. And you being in a business school environment will put you around like-minded individuals, which would ultimately increase your chances of success. As you can see, either way, whether you decide to bootstrap it and figure it out fresh out of high school, or go into, say, an MBA program and get the knowledge and the specialized training that's necessary for you to be successful in, say, like I shared, in a startup or an acquisition, you'll have to have that long-term mentality. Honestly, if what I went over today sounds like a lot, you may want to rethink if entrepreneurship is for you, or you may want to double down on what it is that you have going on and do what's necessary to bring it into fruition. I know I started this video talking about school and, well, I'm in this class and how is it being beneficial to me? How am I going to use it in real life? You having a long-term mentality means that I know that, say I'm a sophomore or junior in college, I'm going to go get an MBA because my goal is to, fresh out of the program, go and acquire, let's say, a laundromat, or let's say a UPS store. You want to go buy an existing business, or you want to go buy a franchise that's reputable. Now you understand that those classes that you're taking are only stepping stones towards what your ultimate goal is. You know that you walking this path is what's going to set you apart as far as all the other people that say they want to be entrepreneurs. Either way, you'll have to do what's necessary. You can choose to either go through school and honestly make it easier on yourself and your relationships, because people will not understand you if you try to bootstrap it, if you try to do it on your own. That will make it much easier. You can do it either way. Don't let anything I'm saying discourage you. Take everything that I'm sharing as, like I said, constructive criticism. That's what'll help you get through high school. That's what'll help you get through college. That's what'll help you get through your master's program. And that's what will put you on track to whatever business endeavor it is that you want to do. So with that said, don't let anyone discourage you from your path. Just figure out what's necessary. Who do you know that is, let's say, an older version of you has walked the path that you're looking to go down, and use them as a mentor. Because honestly, you could bootstrap with a mentor. You could bootstrap with 2 mentors and maybe learn under them, get a job under them. Even if you were, say, client service representative, you still tell them you want to learn the business. You see in the contracts how the business flows in and out, how they deal with taxes, the whole 9 yards. That will cut your time down exponentially. But coming across mentors is a God thing. I was gonna say a dime a dozen, but everything is intentional. The chances of you finding a mentor are much higher if you were in a school setting. So with that being said, man, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. If it was an aspect of this video that I should have went more in depth on, make sure y'all drop that down below. And like I said, I pray that y'all have a blessed week. Peace out.